A warm welcome to you, our lovely viewer. Thank you so much for loving us. Thank you for tuning in to UBC. My name is Judith Asimwe Ateng. I'm so glad that I'm the sister today to host a fellow sister. And that's none other than Helen Bugaari. She's here with us. She's going to take us through her journey. I'm sure by the end of the day, you'll be inspired. You will love it. I'm sure that you will like this. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the show. I will request her to say hello to you, our viewer. Hi, Helen.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
So you're our super soul sister today,
Yes.
and we're glad to have you.
Yes.
Just feel free to share with us. We admire you. We look up to you. You're a mentor to many, and I'm sure somebody out there by the end of the show, they'll have picked something. Say hello.
Hello, how are you? Thank you for the privilege to be on Super Soul Sisters show.
Yes.
It's indeed a great honor for me to be able to mentor young girls.
Yeah.
As a mother of girls, it's a passion for me to be able to see girls achieve, girls build their careers. So I hope I can contribute to that today through my talk.
Oh, that is nice. And somebody might be knowing you very well out there, but there is somebody seeing you for the first time. And they're like, oh, wow, this is Helen. And they're like, okay, who is Helen?
Bugaari, Helen Bugaari is my name.
Yes.
I'm married with 2 children. I come from Rukunjiri district. I'm a Mhororo by tribe, although I don't like to define myself by tribe.
Why?
Because
It's okay to have a sense of belonging.
yes, it is. That's how I was brought up.
Oh.
In a very open world where I started as a young child moving around with my father and doing all sorts of things. So I like
So
to see myself
you've
as
loved to embrace all people and all tribes.
Yes.
As a humanitarian, of course,
Exactly.
like any other.
Just like my
Yes,
family.
and we want to know your childhood, about your childhood, your parents,
Okay.
a brief background. Yeah.
My father was called Philemon Karejesach Tabraza, born in Rukunjiri. He was in the line of leaders in Rujumbura.
Yes.
And he was, I must say, he was my mentor, my role model. He had a very big family. We grew up in a very big family. He believed in girl child. He believed in educating girls. His very big family was mostly comprised of girls. And he always said it's important to educate girls because they're good managers and they become good citizens at the end of the day.
Yes, we are responsible citizens.
Very responsible citizens. So, I mean, to have had that vision in those very early days where it wasn't usual for parents to actually encourage and groom their girls, children.
Yes.
He had a vision. He was a foresighted man. He was a leader in society, highly respected. He worked as a Secretary General for Kigezi at one time.
Yes.
He was also a civil servant working as a district commissioner. And he traversed many districts in Uganda, and I, being among the last ones in his big family, I moved with him. I moved in many places with him. That's why when I say I don't describe myself as a tribe, it's because I really, starting from childhood, was moving from place to place. Yes, and that's what made me who I am. Yeah.
That's what made you embrace all of us.
Yes.
Okay.
And have the resilience to work in any place in the world. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is very nice.
Yeah.
So tell us about your childhood. How was it like growing up?
My childhood was quite interesting. Like I said, I grew up in a very big family. Big to a point that at any one time in my home were not less than 15, 20 people.
Hey,
Yes.
you're amazing.
Yes.
That's nice.
It was nice. It was very nice. To a point that I reached the age of about 10 without being able to identify who my actual siblings were, because that was my father. He had a big heart. He embraced everybody. He opened his home. And also my mother. My mother was a homemaker. She was the soft-spoken lady, disciplinarian. And she never, ever, felt like she had a burden too big by having a big family.
Yes.
If anything, she embraced that, embraced what she found in the home she married in. I think she was also told that that is how it is, and she completely integrated in that culture.
Yes.
And it was, I think in those days, it was not usual that you say, this is my child, this is not my child. Or
All children were children by
all
then.
children were children.
That was a real African setting.
It was a proper African setting.
Yes.
In a very big setup.
So, were you among the first children, middle,
I
or
was among the
last borns?
I was among the last children, actually the last girl of my mother. And that of course came with some privileges, because my bigger siblings were there to look out for me. I was able to pursue my education to the level that I wanted, with support not just from my parents but also from my bigger siblings. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So we want to have a little bit of your education. Which schools did you go to?
Yeah. For my primary school, like I said, I was going around with my father. That time he was a district commissioner. So
he would move.
I would move with him. I went to 4 primary schools. You can imagine in 7 years you've gone to 4 primary schools. I went to Victorian High School in Jinja for my nursery school. I went to Hill Road Primary School in Masaka for part of my...
So when he would shift to another district,
we had to go with
him.
Yes. So I went to some of the best schools that I had the opportunity to go to in Uganda at that time. And then when we went to Mbarara, I went to the St. Helens Primary School.
So from Masaka to Mbarara now?
So from Jinja, Masaka, Mbarara. Then I went to Kabale, where I was at Hombe High School. So 4 schools in my primary education that really gave me very good exposure at that early age. Then I went to secondary school in Nabisusa High School. The longest time I've ever stayed in my school, and I liked it there. Different culture, different religions, different, we embraced all sorts of different ways. I remember I had friends. I used to fast during Ramadan. It was a Muslim school and I loved it.
You almost became a Muslim?
No, not really, but it's just that...
you embraced the religion,
yes,
and the environment as it came.
And the environment as it came.
Yes.
A-level, I went to Namasagali,
yes,
secondary school. My father believed in Father Grimes and his disciplinary actions.
Many people believed in him.
So he took me there.
Yes.
And I loved it. I stayed there for 2 years. And that's where I did my A-level.
Yes.
Then I went to Makerere University.
Oh.
Yes. And I studied political science and history, graduated there. But I went on to pursue further education.
Yes.
After that, I had this insatiable hunger for learning. In between, soon after my university
degree, the first degree,
I got married.
Oh.
So yeah.
Hey.
Yes, I got married.
You can see the moves.
Yes, I got married, had 2 children, 2 girls. And then I stayed for some time.
How does it feel to be a mother of girls?
I love it.
Only girls?
Only girls.
How does it feel like?
It's really fine. I mean, every child is a child.
Yes.
In my mind, no feeling of loss that I should have had a boy or anything. No.
I would feel like a win to have only girls in the house. Yeah.
Yes,
It's okay.
it was okay for me and okay for my husband. And
Your husband embraced it.
he embraced it.
That's nice.
Wholeheartedly. I think that girls are able to do what boys can do
Thank you.
and more.
What we can do,
Boys can
we
do.
can do.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. People talk about inheritance and
Girls can
names.
inherit.
Exactly. They can, and they can carry on, and they can manage just as much as boys can manage.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
that's not a problem.
Thank you. That's what I wanted you to air out. So you continued with marriage. Then did you first give birth? Then you went out for further studies, or you?
Yes. I had no. Actually, I as soon as I got married, I went out. My husband was working in Mombasa that time.
Yes.
So I had my first child while we were in Mombasa. And after that, I had my second child when we had come back briefly to Uganda. That was 1991.
Yes.
And I started my other education part in 1994.
In Uganda?
No. So that time environmental education had started. There was a big hype on environment.
Yes.
And I had a big passion to understand more about environment protection, and I felt it was something that I could enjoy studying and contribute to in Uganda. So I applied for a scholarship, and I was very lucky that I got it in Sweden, Malmo.
Congratulations.
Yes, World Maritime University. I studied environmental science, which was now which gave me a multidisciplinary background. Having had a background in arts, now I was studying something that was more in the science part.
Yes.
A unique opportunity, which I think most people don't know is possible, but it is possible. And
Of course, we see such things far from us.
Yes, but it's possible, and it's important, and it gives you a wholesome background where you have, a well-balanced kind of education.
What does it take for somebody to get such opportunities? Do I need to be doing research all the time, on a move?
I loved studying, and it wasn't easy to get that scholarship. So I put in time and effort to apply,
Yes.
to pass some tests, to prove myself that I could actually do it. So it does take a bit of hard work. There's nothing that comes without hard work.
Yes,
Nothing
every good
comes
thing
without
comes,
hard work. That's for sure.
Totally.
So when I got the scholarship, then I went to Sweden for 2 years. My children were small; they were very small.
You left them in Uganda, or you went
for
with them?
For about 2 months, and I just couldn't cope with my studies, having left my young kids. So I found a way. I talked to my administration at the university, and they were kind enough to allow me to move to an apartment and bring my family. Yeah, so I brought my children. My husband by then was working in South Africa, and so I came and studied with my children.
How was it like those 2 months? How did you feel?
It was hell.
Without them?
I knew they were cared for by my family members.
Of course, yes.
I was comfortable, but for me,
you couldn't settle.
I missed them. They were so small, and I needed to be with them. So when I brought them to Sweden, then I put them in schools. I also had to study, so I'd go drop them at school and take a bus, take myself to another school, come back in the evening, pick them, come
then
home.
you go back home together.
Quite a hectic life with 2 young kids, but well worth it. After 2 years, almost 2.5, and then I came back to Uganda. I think for a couple of years, and then I started building my career now in work. I worked because I had this background in aquatics and aquatic ecosystems.
Yes.
So I worked with a company, a USAID company called Aquatics Unlimited, as a program officer. That gave me my first exposure in the field that I had worked in. Then moved on to Nile Basin Initiative, which is a regional organization with the headquarters in Uganda. We were working with 10 riparian states of the Nile Basin, and a lot of travel and moving in those countries. Fortunately, my husband was back, and being the supportive husband that he is, when I was away, because we worked in 10 countries, so there's quite a bit of travel. The children were in school, and he was there. He was always there.
Yes. Now the children are in primary
bigger,
or
yes, they're in primary.
still baby? Primary.
No, they're in primary. And then I definitely wasn't there for the pick and drop of school most of the time because of the job demands. But like
so you shared the roles. Now
shared
the
the
father
roles.
took on the pick
Yes,
and
he did.
Yes.
Yes, he did. Fortunately, they were good students. They were easy children. And then as they grew up and went to secondary schools, it became easier. They were in boarding schools.
Yes.
And I was still doing these jobs that took me all over. Then I think the biggest part of it was when I joined the United Nations World Food Programme in 2007, where I worked until I retired, and that took me to many parts of the world.
How long did you stay in the World Food
In that
Programme?
work, 14 years.
14 years.
Yes, and I covered so many countries. And I worked in one of the most difficult countries in the world.
And what was that country?
Many of them, but I think one of them was Afghanistan. Yes, and I loved it. I just loved the experience. And again, going back to my background, I think what built my resilience to be in such countries was because of my upbringing, my exposure to different kinds of cultures and environments, my open-mindedness that had been inbuilt by my father,
Yes.
my family. So it became easy for me to actually.
Apart from the war and the instability, what else made Afghanistan hard for you?
The war itself is bad enough, right? It was
Very
enough.
bad.
Very bad. Yeah, it was a difficult terrain to work in. The culture, different kinds of ways of
The food, the ways of the people.
Yes, it was not
You have to be so adaptive.
I used to wear the long, sometimes the burqas, sometimes and cover myself. It was not a problem for me. You had to respect their culture. You had to. You don't just walk in an Afghani country with a bare head. And then I was heading a program called.
And how did you push on with your career there? How did you balance the work? How was it like?
It was very interesting. It was challenging but very interesting because in a country like that, every little contribution you make has an impact. I saw our program. I was heading a program called Green Afghanistan Initiative, which really was building, not only addressing environmental challenges, but also building the resilience of Afghanis, those that were recovering from war or still having challenges of war. So we were targeting very vulnerable families and trying to give them skills, survival skills, ability to grow their own food, ability to have income generating activities and things like that. It was quite an experience.
It was quite an experience.
Yes.
Did you love it?
I loved it. I loved it.
You loved new experiences in life.
Yes, and where you're making a difference. Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching us. You're still with us here on Super Soul Sisters. We are having Helen Bugaari. She is from the Office of the Prime Minister. She works at the Secretariat as a CRR.
Comprehensive Refugee Response Framework.
Okay.
Yes.
That's it. So we'll be right back. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back. Thank you so much for tuning in to Super Soul Sisters. My name is Judith Asimwe Ateny. We are here at Dotash. Feel free to come in anytime. They have very nice, fancy seats I have seen nice beds, I have seen nice furniture in this place. Just come in anytime, pick something for yourself, pick something for your family. I am still with Helen. She is from the Office of the Prime Minister. And we want her to take us back a little bit. We want to know about your childhood. How was it like to grow up as a young girl? Were you naughty? Were you this girl who is jumpy? How were you?
As a young girl growing up, and like I said earlier, growing up from a big family
Yes.
and among the last ones, I grew up rather protected and pampered by my siblings
and
my
daddy.
parents. Yes, and my dad. And
Daddy's
mom.
girl.
But at the same time, I was a very serious girl.
Focused.
Focused, not this spoiled girl.
Yes.
I don't think I ever gave my parents a headache.
That's
I don't
nice.
remember that. I loved studying, so I was always, pouring my heart into my books. I was bullied a little bit. I was not the bully. I was bullied a bit.
In which class?
In primary, in some classes.
In primary.
Yes, but not badly. Comments like that. My father was, like I said, a district commissioner, like in Masaka, so some kids would make fun of that. And he used to come and officiate at ceremonies in our school.
Yes.
Okay, I'll tell you one incident. I was a very shy girl growing up, very introverted. And one time there was, at the end of the term, they asked my father to come and officiate and give trophies. And I was one of those girls, because I worked hard, that was supposed to get the trophy. But also because I was very shy, when it came to my turn, instead of coming up the stage, I went and hid somewhere. And then, true, the teachers came looking for me everywhere. Very embarrassed. My father is standing there with a trophy in his hand. His own daughter is not showing up. The teachers are
for you,
looking for
hidden.
me, and me, I'm hiding. I didn't know what was in my mind, so I really took a lot of teasing from that incident from the children. But that was me growing up.
They made fun of you
Very
everywhere.
hard. Yes. So I had to work really hard to get rid of my shyness, which I did eventually.
How about secondary?
Secondary was easy. It was nice. It was. I made so many friends. First time.
Do you still remember some of them? Do you still connect with some?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do connect with some of them. But also because I have been away for some time, so I lost touch with others.
Yes.
I'm still trying to get my networks again.
Yes.
But it was one of those times where I really enjoyed the sisterhood of school. It was a girls' school, having friends, learning from friends, and being exposed to different cultures. Yeah. The subjects I did at A-level, I think, was it's such a long time back: history, economics, and literature.
Yes.
Yeah, those I think those were the subjects I did for my A-level. And university, like I said, I did political science and history for my undergrad.
We are moving on, and she's going to be telling us the Afghanistan story. Yes, when she was working with the World Food Program. The experience, how was it?
Most times when we had to go to the field, we had to go in armored vehicles, we had to have escorts, we had to have security advisories. Sometimes we even went down in the bunkers where we had to, if the security situation really worsened. But regardless of all that, just knowing that whatever you're doing in that dire situation makes a difference. We used to go back to monitor our projects. If you put, maybe you're giving cash interventions to those people, or you're giving certain skills, you go back to see how they've used that. And within 1 year, you could tell there was visible difference in the lives of those people. And that for me was fulfillment. It was a total fulfillment, just knowing that the work I'm doing is contributing something. I think there's a famous writer, Ronald Sider, who says, not everyone can do everything.
But somebody can do something.
Yes.
Oh.
Meaning you can contribute. Whatever you contribute, in whatever way, makes a difference. So in that sea of so many people in the world, with all the responses, whatever you do should feel fulfilled that it's making a difference.
So what inspired you to join that career? Yeah. How did you find yourself there?
I think when I started working in all these jobs, then I also realized that I wanted to do more of the humanitarian work, because like I said, it's what really gave me fulfillment to be able to contribute. And when I went to Afghanistan as my first duty station, and I got that experience, I loved it. I could not stay long. We had to stay for a short time because it was not a very secure country.
Did you move with your family again?
No.
You left your family in Uganda?
No, my children were now in South Africa in schools.
And your husband?
My husband was in South Africa at that time, I believe, yes. But yes, but we made time for each other.
Yes.
That was absolutely important for me, that I don't lose touch with my family. And being in those kinds of environments, you're given an opportunity to have breaks, frequent breaks, after 4 weeks, 6 weeks, to meet up with your family. So we stayed in touch. And whenever they had their holidays, I also took my holidays, and I made sure that we are, still a strong family regardless of the separation.
Yeah, that's how you connected.
Yes.
You created time.
Yes.
You made sure that your time matches.
Yes.
Especially if they are off or holidays.
It takes a lot of planning. I worked my life around my children's schedules. I made sure that if they're going to have a break, I'm also taking my break.
So parents can copy that.
Yes, it's
you
very
match.
important.
We are busy.
Yes.
Everybody is busy.
Yeah.
But you match your calendar with your children's calendar.
Yes.
Wow.
I always had to do that. And I also made sure that for big events in school, like teacher-parent,
PTA, speech days.
Yes. And when you work in those environments, there's a lot of flexibility. They really know that your family is aware and you need to connect. So that's the beauty. And so you can take time off. Yeah. Then I went on to work in Sudan.
Yes.
In spending time in Darfur and many other.
You went to only tough areas.
My experience in Afghanistan taught me of the magnitude of need that is out there. It showed me how much, what was out there in the world. And
you're a strong woman.
I became strong for many reasons. One is that just that fulfillment of feeling that you're contributing to people's well-being.
The love for your career.
The love for my career. The love for what I was doing, the people I was working for, refugees, IDPs, marginalized people, all sorts of displaced people, and in dire situations.
Yes.
So for me, I actually found that was my passion. So I went to Sudan, I went to Liberia, which was emerging from war. Kenya, I was working mostly with the camps for IDPs and refugees, refugees mostly. I went to Nigeria, which was also northern Nigeria, which was experiencing a lot of unrest. Also, those experiences built me, made me who I am, and made me look out rather than in, look at, the plight of other people. And I also felt like really my growing up I think God had blessed me.
Yes.
I never lacked school fees.
I've seen a blessing in there.
Yes, I didn't lack school fees. I didn't have a lot of setbacks. So for me, going out there and giving back to society was really an easy thing. Yeah.
So what were some of these challenges as a woman, a mother?
Big challenges because your children are going through teenagehood. the husband is alone, you are in another country. It's a, you know, a family that's really
And girls.
above all.
Hmm.
But my family was so supportive. My mother by then was still living, and whenever I was not for some reason able to be there, she was always there with the kids and my husband. Yeah, my husband also had a career to follow. He was before he retired. So my mother was there, my sisters were there, my brothers were there, my family was there. My children never felt like there was a holiday where they felt lost. I never missed any Christmas or big holidays. Was there. Sometimes I actually would take on another station, like outside the hardship, like a place where we could meet. Like we lived in Dubai for 2 years. I didn't live in Dubai, but created opportunity for us to be able to meet in Dubai for every holiday whenever we could. So trying as much as possible to be close. When they were in South Africa for their university, I also tried to create opportunity to be there.
Make sure you meet there all the time. You would meet there.
So it's a question of planning, good planning, support. I mean, if they're in school, they're in school. You're not doing much, right? But when they're on holiday, be there.
Be there. Give them time.
Give them time.
So we want to know, what's your philosophy? What's your philosophy? What's that logic? What made you?
Let's be bold as women, as girls, and know that you can do what men can do.
Yeah, I like that.
Yes.
What men can do.
Yes. Of course, I was lucky. My husband was supportive. He did not, stop me from pursuing my career or my work, which may not be common, maybe in other situations, but I believe when you really show what you want to do and know what you want to do and know where you need to be, then you can pursue your goals.
Thank you so much for sticking with us right here on UBC. My name is Judith, and we are moving on with 3Oul 3Isters. We are here at Dotash. Just come in anytime you want. There are nice furniture here. Furniture for your living room, furniture for your office, furniture, light up your house. Okay, we are still here with Helen Bugaari, and she's from the Office of the Prime Minister, from the Comprehensive Refugee Response Framework. I promise, because of her assignments as a humanitarian. Tell us, what does it feel like to work in this section of refugees?
So let me talk a little bit about my coming back to Uganda and my leaving the United Nations, which was about 2.5 years ago, almost 3.
Yes.
And this is because during COVID time is when I decided that I had done enough and I needed to come back home and reunite with my family. And I haven't looked back on that. I haven't regretted that.
Because you're happy with your family?
Yes, because it was really nice to be there at the very difficult times when we were going through COVID. You know, the whole world was going through COVID, and it was...
So where did it find you? Here?
Here. I came back in the midst of it, yeah.
Everybody was here, your husband, your children?
My husband, my children were here. They are now back home. And it was a very tough time, and I really thank God that I managed to come back when I did, because I actually lost 2 siblings in the same week. One to COVID, one to cancer, and I was here, so I was able to provide the support to be by my sister's bedside for the last time. And those experiences for me are life-changing, and if I had been away, I would have been devastated. So I was really happy that I was home, that I took that decision. When some of us suffered from COVID, my children, but being together, huddling together, going through it together was also very important.
Had you planned it, or when you heard of COVID, you just
I had
were
not
like,
planned to retire. I still had a few years in the UN. I hadn't planned it. But then because of the huge impact it had on the families in the UN, who were given an option to take early retirement, those who felt they needed to reunite with their families. So I was one of those. I had not planned it, but when the opportunity came, I just felt a calling and that I needed to be there. And like I said, I'm so glad I was here to be with my family in those very difficult times. So then I took a break for a bit of time, got to learn that there was an opportunity in refugees, which was absolutely my area of work. I actually took 1 year break in 2021, and I finished working with the UN in 2020.
So you were there in 2020?
I came back in 2020. And I stopped working at the end of 2020.
21.
UN. So 2021, I was here in Uganda, and I spent a year, just resting. Then I learned that there was a job on refugees in the Secretariat of CRF.
Yes.
And then I sat for interviews. I was lucky to get the job, and I started working. I had retired. I didn't think I was going back into working. But when the opportunity came, and I felt it was also an opportunity for me to give back to my country, to serve my country, which I had not done before. And the experiences that I'm bringing from there and sharing, I feel are really impactful. And I won't change that for anything. Of course, you lose some to gain some, right?
Yes.
So
True.
for me, it's still a good decision that I took.
So how does it feel to work with these refugees, especially girls?
Yeah, I have, throughout my career, most of my career, I've worked with all those displaced groups. Now, when it comes to the girl child, it's really, you'd rather not see a girl going through this kind of suffering, because it's not just about displacement, it's also about lacking the basic services, lacking education. Means you don't really have a future. I have seen girls here, refugees in Uganda, who come and speak when they are speaking French maybe, and our schools are English schools, so somehow they struggle. Fortunately, Uganda has a very good open policy for refugees, so girls are integrated in school as well as boys. But a girl child, a girl refugee is more vulnerable, of course, than the boys. They are completely exposed. Some of them are separated from their families. It's really a sad situation. Some of them at a very young age. So there's need for a lot of counseling and psychosocial support for these kids. But I think most important is also for us to focus on these groups of very vulnerable people and give them the means to study, to cater for themselves, to be self-reliant, and the younger girls to be mentored and brought into schools and be able to be good citizens in their old age. And I also know that like a girl child anywhere, even a refugee child, who, when given an opportunity, they can actually contribute to the growth of the countries that they live in.
Yes.
They can be very good entrepreneurs. I've seen some of them doing tailoring, making very unique things, crafts and things like that, and making quite a bit of money. So supporting those kinds of children, especially girls, I think becomes really, really important.
What has been your main role in this, making sure that
Yeah.
they get the possible support?
Yes. In the countries I was working in before I came here, we were targeting those the girls, the girl child, the children, the vulnerable communities, and giving them extra attention and support and cash and things like that. Here, the same thing, they also target, but my role here now is not so much in implementation, but it's more in coordination and bringing together different stakeholders to come and articulate issues that affect refugees. In that way, it's also a way of raising the profile of these cases, the girl child, and getting them to get funding and attention.
Okay, you can tell us a little bit about refugees. I saw you somewhere preparing for the Global Refugee Forum.
Okay.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes, tell us a
Yes,
little bit.
yeah. That happened in December 2023. It was 1 year of preparations.
Yes.
I was appointed to coordinate the Global Refugee Forum for Uganda by the Office of the Prime Minister. It was a great opportunity for me because I was able to apply my training, my
Expertise.
skills, my expertise, and also in the previous countries I worked in, of course, I worked closely with government, because where there's a UN presence, you're also working with government.
Yes.
So that experience I came with, and I was able to apply it. I understood the donor world or partner world completely. I was able to build trust and to get a lot of funding from partners for the roadmap that we set out from January to December when we went to the Global Refugee Forum. A very, very supportive team of ministers in OPM, Prime Minister herself who led the delegation, the staff, you know, the work and the dedication they put in that preparation was really outstanding. And Uganda was one of the 5 co-convener countries.
What were some of the results of that?
We were able to give Uganda the profile as a co-convener country, the voice. Our leader of delegation was articulated very well Uganda's policy that many may not have known. There was a lot of interest from partners for funding, and we're hoping that we'll see some of that funding coming through.
Wow.
And I think also for the refugees themselves, they got the kind of visibility that they needed.
And networking.
Because they were there in big numbers. Yes, NGOs, UN agencies, international or multilateral agencies, they were all there. And I think it was good that Uganda was on the table and our policy.
Discussing our own issues.
Yes.
It's important.
A very unique policy that Uganda implements.
You can give us your last remarks.
I think my last remarks is to the girls out there who want to build their career. And I know there are many ambitious.
There's some looking up to you. They're like, wow, Helen.
Just go for it. Don't be held back. I think it's also very important that when you're choosing not just your career but also your partner, you also express your goals and ambitions in advance and see whether that's going to be supported, so that you're not held back, and that also be bold, go where the cause is. There are many opportunities going jobs and sit and push paper, but then the best experience you get is out there in the field where you can actually touch and feel the problem, and then that experience helps you to actually address that problem in a more informed manner. So I would say go for it. Don't say I'm a girl out there, I can't do it. I believe when you do what you do and do it right, and you contribute to the family, and your contribution is visible and it's impactful, I don't think that there's any man that would say no, sit back and be in the kitchen.
After seeing the values and what you're adding up to the family, they'll just appreciate.
Yes, I do believe so.
Wow.
Yeah.
But above all, I've learned to plan.
Yes.
Like you told us, we have to plan together with our families.
Yes.
Because there are many single mothers outside there.
Yes.
And what is failing the single mothers is what we don't know. But at least I've quoted you. Plan with your family, plan with your husband, with your children.
Yes.
Yes.
Plan with your children, with your family. Make sure that you are together all the way. because that's what keeps you together. I
Yes.
was in so many missions where, people were asking me, how is it that you're still married? And
Yes, I have seen many people in humanitarian section
yeah,
and other departments, higher departments, people of high profile, but families zero.
it
Yes.
is not easy to find that balance. I can tell you that it's not easy, but just find the balance. Give your man peace, and also be content with what you're doing, and grow together. But if your heart is going to be, this
Too
I
much
think
pressure.
too much pressure. Yeah.
You have to calm down,
You have
relax,
to calm down,
take a chill pill,
yes.
but not also relaxing too much, because family is what builds you.
Yes.
That's what makes you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Welcome.
It's been a light and good moment.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, right here at 3Oul 3Isters. To our viewer, thank you so much for watching us. We've been here at Dotash. Feel free to come in anytime. Follow these programs on our social media. We're on YouTube, we're on TikTok. Go right there, check 3Oul 3Isters for you. My name is Judith Asimwe. I wish you a lovely evening.